This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia.
Good morning and welcome to Volusia Today. I'm David Hunt with the county's Community Information Division. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, the new Community Information Director, Michael Ryan. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Volusia Today is made possible by our sponsors, Daytona Beach International Airport, the Ocean Center, Volusia Recycles, and Votran Public Transportation. So, Michael, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous this morning. I'm hosting this show, but I feel like I'm under the gun. You're the new Community Information Director. You've been on board for about 2 months now. It's been a pleasure. A month, 2 months? How long have you been?
I think it's about 34 days, actually.
34 days.
Yeah.
34 days of fun, correct?
About 30 of those was in the EOC, it felt like.
Well, it's been a pleasure working with you so far. Tell us about yourself, your career. You got 2 minutes. This is only a 30-minute show, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I graduated from the University of Texas and spent a year or two in journalism and then spent about 20 years in governmental communications before doing a little consulting and working in the private industry for a while.
It's been nice just having your knowledge. You said 20 years of experience in the game and the community information, communication arena. So it's been really nice just having your input on the team. You say some things. I'm already learning a lot from you. So it's been great having you so far, and I can't wait to see what you do. You're just warming up your seat 34 days, and we already had a hurricane. Tell us a little bit about the hurricane and how all that went.
Well, we moved. I lived in St. Augustine, and we moved to Volusia County on Monday night, and I walked into the EOC Tuesday morning, so that was wonderful. The second time I've moved in a hurricane, I also moved in Hurricane Matthew. So spent a couple days in the EOC, and I also learned from you. And your intense eye contact is making me nervous.
Oh, see, I'm already messing up.
Can you look away?
I'm sorry, I'm already messing up.
Look away, man. So no, it was a great experience, and I learned just as much from the team. You guys are an amazing communication team, and I learned just as much from you guys as hopefully I contributed.
And it was kind of like a practice run, right? We were prepared. We were there overnight. We prepare and we train like it's going to be the worst case scenario, so we're always prepared for everything. Luckily, this time we kind of skirted us. We didn't have any real impacts here in Volusia County. We got super lucky. But tell us a little bit about that, how that training goes and why that's important and why being prepared is important during this time of the year.
Well, Dave, that is important. And, a lot of the community doesn't know that the steps that we go through as a governmental agency to, prepare for the storm, during the storm, and then also recovery. And we went through the entire exercise. And some of it there was a legit threat, on Monday and Tuesday. Monday when I was not at the EOC and you guys were, because I was moving. But there was a real threat that we definitely need to prepare for, and it was a good exercise for us to run, our drills, but also for the community to do the same thing and, understand what they need to do to prepare. And I think it's worth noting that we're very early into this season right now. There's still a couple months left.
Yeah, and I think that's the takeaway is be prepared, get your stuff together. You never know during this time of year what's going to happen, what might come our way. We're not out of the woods. Be prepared. Get your kits together, get your plan together, your family plan. Think about your animals. Think about what you're going to do if something is a direct threat to our area, for sure. So yeah, it was a whirlwind of a week. We had that going on, and then we have one of the biggest beach weekends this weekend. So it's a Labor Day weekend coming up, and we got to be prepared for that as well, right? So we got AJ Miller with the county's Beach Safety and Ocean Rescue Division, and we have Tammy Malphurs in the studio today to kind of give us some tips and kind of get us prepared for the weekend. So what do we need to know?
This is one of our biggest weekends, and it's the unofficial end of the season. We really don't go out of season on the beach. It's all weather dependent. So right now, going into the weekend, we're looking at very hazardous rip current conditions. We have that surf picking up from those storms out there. Franklin's still out there giving us some surf. So we just want people to know that it's so important to swim in front of those lifeguard towers. We can't even stress that enough. And download our Volusia Beaches app on your smartphone. It has real-time information. Download that app, look at it before you come to the beach, and find out where those towers are.
AJ?
Yeah, we are going to have, with the swell, we've got swell building this weekend. So as you make plans for the weekend, pay attention to that. We have mid-morning high tide, so there's a good chance the beach is going to be closed for driving because we don't have a traffic lane. The water's going to be over, so plan for that. Our parks are going to fill up fast. If you want to get there early, and be prepared for that. Deputy Chief Malphurs said it, swim in front of a staff lifeguard tower, visit the Volusia Beaches app. Prepare for the day. The weather is supposed to look beautiful. I didn't see any rain or storms in the forecast, but it is Central Florida, so always be ready for those quick afternoon storms. And we're got everybody brought in, every staff member that we can bring in to prepare for this busy weekend.
And remember, that beach app does have a lot of other information. You can find those off-beach parking areas and all the walkovers. It has a lot of great information, so make sure you download that.
Yeah, I feel like that's important to talk about because we talk about plans. It's good to have a plan for anything you do. It's good to have a plan when you head down to the beach. And that Volusia Beaches app is such an amazing tool. I think the last time we checked, there was about 50,000 people signed up on the app. I think everybody in Volusia County should sign up for the Volusia Beaches app. I've lived here my whole life. I go to the beach all the time. I check that app regularly when I'm heading down to the beach.
I use it all the time as well.
It's amazing. It has a little banner on the top that tells you what to look out for, whether it's red flags, hazardous conditions, every beach ramp every beach access point that's going to be open. It's just a great tool to be aware and be able to make that plan so you don't get frustrated, right?
Right.
The beach is always changing, and like you said, luckily we didn't have bad impacts on the beach during this hurricane, but we are expecting that high tide, right?
Yeah, we are. With as far as the damage and how the storm affected the beach, we actually lucked out. We didn't have crazy big surf during that storm since it came from the west coast of Florida. I was down on the beach at high tide the morning the storm hit, and the water at that max high tide was just hitting the seawall. So of our 1,500 conservation posts, I think we lost about 30, which is extremely minimal. Didn't lose a whole lot of sand. So the beach actually fared very well leading into this weekend to be able to have access for those people coming down to enjoy the holiday.
Yeah, and it's not, so we harp on rip currents because rip currents are ridiculously dangerous, but there's a lot of other water moving around right there. You mentioned what do you call them, lateral currents, the ones that run side of the beach. Tell us a little bit about those as well.
Yeah, so we always talk about rip currents, which is a current of water that flows from the shoreline pulling you out to sea. But one of the biggest things, and we deal with a lot during the summer, is missing children, missing family members because of those lateral currents. And depending on where the swell is coming from or what storm we have coming, the water will be rushing either north or south along the current. And like I said, that brings the possibility of missing children, because what will happen is they get in, they play in the water not realizing they're getting carried up the shoreline. They go to get out to reunite with their families. Everything looks the same if you're not from here. And they get carried down the beach, and it's hard to find their family members.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, and the best thing to do is swim in front of those staff lifeguard towers, because they also have all that information on the back of the board, correct?
They do. It's right there, and we stress everyone that comes down to the beach, get to know our lifeguards, go talk to them, ask them questions about the beach. Don't get offended when they don't make eye contact, like Dave here was with you, Michael, because they're watching the water. So they're not going to lock eyes with you because they do need to watch the water, but they're more than happy to answer all your questions about the beach. So you are more knowledgeable and you feel safer and more comfortable on our Volusia County beaches.
AJ, can you refresh my memory on the color of the flags?
Yeah, so we starting off, we've got green flag, which is no danger, which we have never flown on our beach.
Does not exist, right?
Yeah. Such a dynamic
beach
beach that our beaches change within a couple hours.
That flag's in a box somewhere, isn't it?
We have a massive amount of those flags hiding in a closet.
Yeah.
Now we have yellow for moderate surf conditions. Usually when the water looks a little calmer, but there's still some underlying dangers. We have our red flag for dangerous surf conditions or high surf advisory. And that doesn't always mean we don't have to have big surf to have that red flag. If our rip currents are pulling real strong as they are now, today we're flying that red flag. We have our double red flag, which stay out of the water, which historically we only fly during the actual hurricanes. And then we have our purple flag for dangerous marine life. More often than not, we're flying that for jellyfish and man-o-war.
Okay. And what point do you guys decide what color flag you go with that day? Is it that morning?
Every single morning, yeah.
Okay.
The shift that comes on that day looks at the water. They take in consideration what happened the day or two prior, what's coming, swell conditions. They look at all that, and they make that determination every morning.
Okay. And so I went to the beach last weekend, and the surf was on the increase. We had those lateral currents, we had the rip currents, we had everything going on. But then there was also some jellyfish in the water. Are those still out there floating around?
We have, we've had a few. We probably are going to see some this weekend, so be prepared for that. The best thing to do, you can bring white vinegar with you. Or you can flag one of our lifeguards down in a truck, or go to that, if you're in front of that lifeguard tower like you should be, they have vinegar on their tower, and it's a simple procedure. We just pour vinegar on your sting. A lot of times that helps. So it's just be prepared for those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we deal with very commonly. Actually, this year to date, since January, we've treated over 2,000 jellyfish stings. Most of them are very minor. We always tell people to things to watch for, and we've talked about this before. If you're allergic to animal stings like bees or ants, there's a good chance you're going to be allergic to a jellyfish sting. So if you have a bad reaction, or if you're prescribed an EpiPen, an auto-injector for a bee sting, there's a good chance you're going to have that similar reaction to a jellyfish sting. Things to watch for is if your throat starts closing up, if you get hives around your chest. Most time it's just extremely painful. And then it goes away usually within maybe 15 or 20 minutes if it's treated appropriately.
It's 15 minutes. But like Captain Miller was saying, the allergic reaction is very dangerous, but that's very rare. Most people don't have an allergic reaction to a sting. It's just painful. And it usually subsides after about 15 minutes. And there's no real time or season for the jellyfish or man-o-war. They're just kind of at the mercy of the winds and the currents. So when we have a strong onshore wind for a few days, we tend to see them more.
And don't itch it, right? Don't itch the sting.
Yeah, don't scratch it. Don't rub it.
Yeah, don't scratch it with sand. They usually say stay out of fresh water for a little bit. Because what happens, they're leaving stinging cells on your skin. You can get fancy and say you can call them nematocysts, but they're stinging cells on your skin. So when you rub it, you scratch it, you're going to actually cause those stinging cells on your skin to rupture and cause it to sting more. So you can take the callous part of your hand. If there's tentacles, you can take those off, or a gloved hand. If you followed the beach app and you found that staff lifeguard tower and you're sitting in front of that, or we're all driving around in our big red trucks, wave us down. We're there to help.
But again, you should be in front of that staff lifeguard
That's
tower.
That's it. Staff lifeguard tower. They'll take care of you right there on the spot. There's different levels to them too. You can get hit with like the little clear ones. They don't hurt too bad. But then there's also the
cannonball ones that are fun to throw at people.
Whoa! We can't.
So and we have the man-o-war, which looks like a purple Ziploc bag on the top of the water.
The brighter they are, the more painful they usually are.
Well, you said 2,000. You've treated 2,000 jellyfish stings this year. Like you said, we are kind of at the end of the beach season. You guys work year-round, but as far as the big days or the big weekends, this is one of them. Where are we at? How did the season go? How many rescues did we perform?
It's been good. We pulled over 2,100 people out of the water this year.
Wow.
Which is relatively average for us. Actually, going into the season after the disruption in the sand, I thought we'd have a bigger year. So thankfully we're here, but our lifeguards rather protect people. We had over 1,000 medical calls. Like I said, we're out there to help everyone, and even something as simple as you lock your keys in your car, you get stuck in the sand. We helped almost 1,500 people with vehicle issues this year.
So you said that very nonchalantly, 2,100 people saved from rip currents. And when you see it, it can happen so fast, right? Like it could just be a guard blows the whistle, goes out there, and it's done. It's done in 3 minutes.
It is. If you're sitting there watching on the beach, you may not even realize it happened other than hearing that whistle. It's not like the movies where they're screaming and flailing. It's usually pretty quiet because a lot of times they may not realize they're in trouble, or they'll be too tired to call for help or scream. And if they do call for help, they follow the Volusia County Beaches app, and they're in front of that staff lifeguard tower, so the lifeguard sees them and goes and gets them. But yeah, it is. It's not like they have in the movies. It can be very quiet. They're struggling, and we'll spot that, and we'll go out and get them.
And a good thing to remember, too, is when you are caught in a rip current, don't panic. It's not going to pull you underwater. It's just going to pull you into deeper water. There's a lot of things you can do. You can float. Don't try to swim back through that rip current. That's when you get exhausted. And if you're in front of that lifeguard, they will see you in that rip current before you even realize it.
Yeah, typically adults or children in the rip currents?
All
Everything.
over. Yeah, it doesn't rip currents don't discriminate on who they're going to take out.
There you go. That's a good statement.
One thing to note, and I noticed this yesterday, if people are out there on the beach at low tide in certain areas, the way the water is moving right now, we've got a couple spots where the slough. So you've got your shoreline, then it gets a little deeper in the slough, and then gets shallow at the sandbar. That slough's very deep right now. So as you're walking out, it drops off very fast. So people need to be mindful of that, because if you're not the best swimmer, or you are just playing and you drop off, that's when people panic. That's what Deputy Chief Malphurs is talking about. You could get in trouble literally 10 or 15 feet from the shoreline. It's not this huge drawn out endeavor. It can happen very fast, and people need to be aware of that.
Yeah, and you can't really plan for when panic sets in. It happens quick. You don't know. You could just step off the end of a sandbar and be in trouble. I remember the first time I ever got in a situation like that when I was a kid. It's burned into my brain, and it was scary. You can't train for that type of stuff, but it happens quick. You save 2,100 people. And that's an amazing stat. I mean, I know you say it nonchalantly because it's what you do every day, and it's quick, but I appreciate that. I'm sure everybody all 2,100 of those people and their families all appreciate that. So thank you all for what you do, for sure. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with more Volusia Today.
We are Volusia County Beach Safety. We're here to serve Volusia County's 47 miles of unique coastline. You know, Volusia County beaches. Yeah, those beaches. But also these beaches. We have millions of visitors every year, and we work around the clock to keep our beaches safe and beautiful. And you can help.
Swim near a staff lifeguard tower.
Pick up your trash and fill holes. Identify, avoid, and escape rip currents.
Please leave the beach cleaner than you found it.
There we go. Look out for one another and keep an eye on kids, especially near the traffic lane and in the water.
Pets are allowed at our 2 pet-friendly beaches, Lighthouse Point Park and Smyrna Dunes Park.
If you see something, say something.
A clean and safe beach guarantees fun in the sun for everyone. Thank you for doing your part to keep Volusia County beaches beautiful. See you at the beach!
Make the most of your day at the beach. Download the Volusia County Beaches app today. Sign up for real-time notifications on vehicle ramp openings and closings. Find staffed lifeguard towers. Get updates on tides and beach conditions, plus off-beach parking and coastal parks info. Volusia County Beaches app is available for your smart devices at the App Store and Google Play.
We're back. We have AJ Miller and Tammy Malphurs with Volusia County Beach Safety and Ocean Rescue in the studio with us. We're talking Labor Day weekend, safety, everything you need to know. We talked a little bit about rip currents. We talked about some of the tools you all have to be prepared, the Volusia Beaches app, always swim in front of a staff lifeguard tower. There's also live cams on the Volusia Beaches YouTube channel, which are super helpful. You can see how packed the beach is, what the conditions are looking like, and for those surfers, it's free to see if the waves are good or not. So there's other threats, though, at the beach, right? It's not just the rip currents. What are some of the other threats we can be prepared?
Michael, you had a question we were chatting on the break about.
Well, you know, we've talked before about people who up in the dunes. Are there threats in the dunes with wildlife or dunes collapsing?
There are actually. One of the big things is we really urge people to stay out of the dunes, mainly because those dunes and the vegetation on those dunes protect our barrier island. When we do get these big storms that come through, the reason we make it so well is we have this great dune system that's built up. But as far as dangers, we kind of mentioned digging holes. You can't dig holes on the beach, and there's a reason for that. Once you dig a hole, once you start getting deeper and deeper, there's a very big threat of that hole collapsing on you. We train for it on our beaches. A lot of beaches throughout the nation train for it. Is collapsed hole rescues. Because if you're digging down and you get too deep, if you get deeper than that hole is wide, it's going to collapse on if you're in that. So I know it's cool if the sand's hard enough and try and find those dunes. People think it'd be cool to tunnel through them, but there's a good chance of those collapsing on you and causing a big problem.
Okay.
And other things that you dig holes in the sand, it really affects the turtles nesting, and also at night people walking, and they can fall in those holes as well. So, you know, people like to build sandcastles, stuff like that. You know, just be careful, fill all those holes back in.
Tell you, most of my kids are teenagers, so I try to not go to the beach with them. But for those families who have younger children, what should they watch out for?
Yeah, if you bring a small child to the beach, you can opt for many of our areas that are no driving. And if you do bring a small child to the beach where there's driving, make sure you're always holding their hand whenever crossing that traffic lane. A couple more tips: set up all your belongings on the water side of the traffic lane. Your tents, your coolers, your chairs, everything you're going to need for the day. Set it up on the water side. That way it limits any children from trying to travel back and forth across that traffic lane.
Okay.
Yeah, and those non-driving zones, the coastal division, we had them in here last week. They've done a great job getting all those beach access points open. So there's a lot of opportunity to park off beach and get to those less populated areas where there's not that threat of cars driving by in that traffic lane, and that's been super nice. And then you also mentioned the sea turtles. We've had a record-setting sea turtle nesting season, and they're starting to hatch off right now.
Yeah.
So we got to be doing our part to help them along their journey, right?
Right, yeah, and that's why we have that established conservation zone. So when you come to the beach and you park, make sure you pay attention to those conservation posts and stay on the east side of those, because those are there to protect the turtles for nesting.
Yeah, and we're also rolling into washback season. I met with one of the washback watchers. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, right.
And they're the ones that go out there. There's a volunteer organization. They Turtle Patrol goes out and drives in the morning. We have those washback watchers that go out and walk the beach, looking for hatchling sea turtles that have emerged, gone out. They spend the first part of their life in the Gulf Stream living in that sargassum seaweed, that stinky stuff that washes in every winter on our beaches. Be mindful of that, because in the mornings, if we have seaweed on the beach, we can't open for driving. We have to, and Volusia County Beach Safety will patrol those areas by ATV looking for any sea turtles. Once we clear that area, we'll be open for driving. So if you're coming down to the beach and you check the Beaches app, a good chance you'll see it'll say closed for sea turtles. That means we're checking that area before we can open. So give us a little time. We want to make sure the beach is clear of any sea turtles, so there's no impact between the sea turtles and vehicles driving on the beach.
That's a good reminder for everyone that Turtle Patrol does. They travel the beach every single morning, and they check for any new nests. And we can't open, like Captain Miller was saying, we can't open until everything is clear. And we know that there's no nests that need to be relocated or anything like that.
Tell me, who tells you can't open?
Who tells us? Turtle Patrol.
But where does the directive really come from? The federal government,
The
right?
federal government, yeah. We're under federal guidelines,
There you go.
and it's very strict. And if we see a new nest, they have to make sure all those new nests are marked off before we can let any vehicles on the beach.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that that's not Daytona or or Volusia County down there doing that.
Right, that's the federal government.
It's not us saying no, you can't get on. It's
correct.
Federal guidelines that we operate by, which those guidelines allow us to have driving on the beach.
Also very important to know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of entities down there working to make sure our beach is pristine and we're following those guidelines, and make sure everything's good before it even opens up in the morning. That's every day.
It's a big collaboration.
A
lot of hands into it.
It's awesome. And I don't think a lot of people even know how much stuff you all do. I was fortunate enough to do a ride along with Beach Safety. I did a full day with them, getting some video for social media messaging purposes. And the first thing we did during the day, they opened the beach up, and we were riding along making sure he was saying how important it was to make sure everybody's parking in the correct way right off the bat, because that dictates how the rest of the day is going to go.
There's a lot of like Deputy Chief Malphurs said, when you park on the beach, there's that line of natural 4x4 poles in the sand. You got to park on the east side of that, between those poles and the traffic lane. That's the parking area. The reason it's so important to get that set early is if people are out of area, they're going to, and here's the thing, if you don't get your parking spot and you park in the wrong spot, everyone else is going to fill in, and when it's your time to move, you're not going to have a parking spot. Also, you're actually not allowed to lay out in that parking area. One, we want to get more people on the beach, but also it's a safety issue. If I'm laying next to my car and you pull in and you don't see me and I'm impacted by your vehicle, that's kind of a problem. So we're all about safety on Volusia County beaches. So even the small things that seem kind of minor, they're there for a reason to keep everyone safe and make sure everyone goes home and enjoys their day.
AJ, can you talk to me? This is new to me. Something about the windows having to be rolled down.
Oh yeah, we driving is because we have a driving beach. You have to be very careful. You have to have your driver's side window down when you're driving on the beach. That's very important. Your headlights on. Also, the speed limit is 10 miles an hour, and that is radar enforced.
Well,
So-
people ask, why your window? Well, there's a lot going on. You're sensory overload if you come down to the beach for the first time and you're trying to drive. We have people come down that have never done it. They're like, oh my God, how do you drive around this beach for 12 hours a day? I couldn't do it. But one extra thing, having that window down, you're going to be able to hear. So like Tammy said, if you have small children, make sure you're holding their hand when they're across the road. If they get out, you hear a parent scream, somebody's running across, you're going to hear that and you're going to be able to react to it. So that's why you got to have your window rolled down.
Yeah, it's very important to hear what's going on around you, especially on the beach, and especially a crowded beach like that. I mean, that's the public's playground, right? So you need to have your window down, headlights on, driving 10 miles an hour. Please pay attention, because it is, like Captain Miller said, it's hard to pay attention when you get down there. You start looking at the water and everything else.
Well, and Tammy said it, 10 miles an hour on the beach. That's the max. You don't have to go that. You're on vacation mode. You're on the beach.
Right.
Enjoy it. You don't have to match that speed limit. If you want to go a little slower, I'm not going to get mad at you, and enjoy your drive down the beach so you're safe.
What happens if I violate any of those three, Tammy?
That's a county ordinance violation.
Okay.
You can be written a citation. So, we hate to do that, and, we don't do the law enforcement responsibilities anymore, but the sheriff's office is down there enforcing all those laws.
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break and run the last commercial, and we'll be back with more Volusia Today.
We are Volusia County Beach Safety. We're here to serve Volusia County's 47 miles of unique coastline. You know, Volusia County beaches. Yeah, those beaches. But also these beaches. We have millions of visitors every year, and we work around the clock to keep our beaches safe and beautiful. And you can help.
Swim near a staff lifeguard tower.
Pick up your trash. And fill holes. Identify, avoid, and escape rip currents.
Please leave the beach cleaner than you found it.
Look out for one another and keep an eye on kids, especially near the traffic lane and in the water.
Pets are allowed at our 2 pet-friendly beaches, Lighthouse Point Park and Smyrna Dunes Park.
If you see something, say something.
A clean and safe beach guarantees fun in the sun for everyone. Thank you for doing your part to keep Volusia County beaches beautiful. See you at the beach!
Make the most of your day at the beach. Download the Volusia County Beaches app today. Sign up for real-time notifications on vehicle ramp openings and closings. Find staffed lifeguard towers. Get updates on tides and beach conditions, plus off-beach parking and coastal parks info. Volusia County Beaches app is available for your smart devices at the App Store and Google Play.
All right, we're back. We got about a minute left. We got Captain AJ Miller and Deputy Director Tammy Malphurs in the studio. 30 seconds. What are the last messages that we have for people going into Labor Day weekend?
Swim in front of those staff lifeguard towers and have fun.
AJ?
Yeah, enjoy it. Drive safe, be safe, hydrate, no alcohol, clean up after yourself, leave only footprints, and please enjoy the beautiful weekend we're going to have.
That's amazing. Michael?
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Volusia County, Mike.
Dave, seriously, thank you for hosting the first show. I appreciate it.
Did I do all right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did all right.
What can I do better?
Yeah.
He told you, a little less eye contact.
Turn these lights off. Yeah. Quit making that intense eye contact with me. Heading into my weekend, it makes me nervous.
No, well, we appreciate everything y'all do for us. I've had the opportunity to work with y'all, and it's just amazing to see everything y'all do. Download the Volusia Beaches app. Check out the County of Volusia YouTube live channel. And you know what? Just beach smart this Labor Day weekend. We'll see you out there.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information.